Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? A little less than a year ago, I revealed on this channel that I was in long-term recovery for addiction. And I wanted to make a video talking about why I chose to break my anonymity on so public a forum, and also why I waited so long. So first things first. When I got clean a little over 12 years ago, I learned that nobody is the face of recovery. Nobody is the face of Narcotics Anonymous, which is the treatment modality that I use. Nobody's the face of AA or any other treatment, program or facility, I guess, unless you're a sole proprietor. And so we don't necessarily speak for that. And also, people don't hear 12 years. They hear addict. So you have to be really careful who you expose your past to. And, I don't need the accolades. I don't need people saying, attaboy, Ivan, all that kind of stuff. I get enough of that from people in recovery. I don't need it from everybody else. So I've been very careful with, keeping my anonymity. And the other thing, which is even bigger, that gave me the most pause for years, was the 11th tradition, which, in 12-step recovery talks about this idea that, it's based on attraction rather than promotion, and we need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. Now, that tradition was written in the 30s, and so I think if they wrote it today, they would probably say things like TV and Facebook and YouTube. And so I'm well aware that I'm breaking the 11th tradition at this point. But I want to talk about why I finally decided to be public about it and to talk about it from time to time on this channel. And it's just that I saw a need. When I look on YouTube and similar platforms, you can see it on Facebook as well, I identified about 5 different camps that I noticed that the lion's share of all the content is based upon. And the first one is celebrities. Celebrities in recovery. And these people are larger than life, and they generally have larger-than-life bankrolls to fund lots and lots of rehab. And while they're inspirational and it's great, to a certain extent, they're not as relatable as the average person. I give them credit for talking about it, but it only does so much for a lot of people. The second kind is the polished and really professional presentations. And you see these people on stages that look like normally Steve Jobs should be giving a presentation on. There's big PowerPoint slides behind them, and they've got the microphone, the lavalier microphone or the headset mic. And they're talking about these grand ideas in this program, and a lot of time they're trying to sell you something for a lot of money. And no, I don't think it's a bad thing to make, a living from recovery, but I mean, a lot of money. And once again, they're these gurus, or presenting themselves as these gurus, and they have the secret that you can follow to be in recovery, to get sober, to get clean, whatever you want to call it. And if you just follow this, they're very, very long presentations. There's a lot of money involved. That doesn't do it for everybody. Third kind is the sort of people that come at it from a really religious stance, as can happen in 12-step fellowship sometime. But the people that they're involved in recovery in some way, shape, or form, but they talk at you. They're not really talking to you. It's almost like they're preaching. It's not even a presentation. They're preaching at you. And while this may work for some, it doesn't work for me, and it doesn't work for others, for sure. I'm an atheist, so it definitely doesn't work for me. And the next one is kind of like the small gurus. Number 4, the people that they just seem to have it all figured out. And they're telling you what the secret is. And a lot of times the secret that people are telling you is something that doesn't involve an awful lot of work. This is, if you just do this thing and you change your thinking in this way, I know the answer. And they're very, very sure of themselves, and good for them. But, it's very, very one-sided, and you can see sometimes the dogma, if you will. They're really sure of themselves, And last but not least, number 5 are the people that, they have channels and they've been in recovery for a short period of time. Maybe they're documenting it. Maybe they have 2 months clean, or clean and sober, like we call it clean in NA, or maybe even 2 years. But they're just getting their feet wet. They're still really wet behind the ears. And it's great stuff. But what I saw missing was what I found when I entered the rooms of recovery. And that was people that would talk with you, and they were real people. They had experience. They had, I guess at this point I have some experience with 12 and change, the clean dates in July. And they were willing to share their experience with you. And, part of, having a longer amount of clean time isn't that you're better than anybody else, not by any means, but you've experienced more. You've gone through more of life, and you've gone through it and haven't gotten loaded. You've learned to, people have just learned to handle their emotions and the ups and downs of life and their emotions. And they don't have to, they didn't have to get loaded. And they were able to go through really uncomfortable times, and they just had experience navigating life, which was something that I wasn't good at. And so I gravitated towards a lot of these people who had a lot of time clean. And, it wasn't all of them, but were some people that could just kind of tell it to you straight. They had the experience to back it up. They weren't going to tell you what to do necessarily, but they could tell you what worked for them. They could tell you what things they tried which did not work. They could tell you some things that they saw other people do which did not work. And can kind of give you some guidance and direction. Don't have to do this, but here's what I've seen. And I just noticed there was this real lack of that kind of material on YouTube, where people would just come at this subject with their own experience, and talk with you, or not give you a presentation, because you're not in the room right now. I'm not going to give you a presentation. I'm not going to preach at you. But I'm just going to share my experience. I'm going to share what I've learned, what works, in some cases why it seems to work. And to share like a message of hope, because if you struggle with addiction, if you're like, you want to get clean, want to get sober, whatever you want to call it, and you're having a hard time with it, there is help out there. There are people that you can go to that can give you some advice, some guidance, some direction, can help you through that process. And if I can, just even give somebody a little bit of hope, or give them a little bit of guidance, based on what I've done, and, making a video like this, or any videos I make about recovery, is worth it. And if you know people that are struggling, you understand you can't help them, you can't get them clean, but at least, you can try understand the disease a little bit better, and not get caught into the snake oil cures and the miracle things, which usually cost thousands of dollars, whatever it happens to be. And just getting some straight talk, from the voice of experience. Because that's all I can share is my experience, my strength, and my hope. What I've gone through, what my past was like, and what my present is now. And the struggles I go through now, but go through clean. And so to me, a message like that is invaluable. And that's why I decided to start talking about it on YouTube, and, just put my voice in the mix. Am I the face of recovery? Of course not. Am I better than all those other people that I talked about, or other one? No, not at all. I just saw it was an approach that was in short supply. And so I wanted to add my voice in the mix. You know what I mean? Take it easy, kids. And if you're struggling, don't give up on yourself. There is hope, and you have hope. You might not believe it, but you do.